All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Bodybuilding News Network. The Masters Olympia has concluded, and we do have a champion, Kamal El-Gardni, taking the title for the men's open bodybuilding. He is a 212 open Olympian, but now he is also he's an open 212 Olympia champion, right? Now he's a Mr. Masters Olympia. I don't know what the title is. Masters Mr. Olympia Open 2023 champion? I don't know. But if you did miss the live stream and you want to come along with the side-by-side comparisons, you definitely can right here, right now. Let's go ahead and start off with the front double bicep on the left, Maxx Charles. In the middle, Kamal El-Gardni, and on the right, Phil Clahar, who won the Orlando Pro. Kamal placing second next to Akeem Williams at the last year's Orlando, I believe it was the last time he did an open show. And then he also did the Open Arnold Classic, right? And he didn't place very well there at all. So I guess that wasn't the most recent. Anywho, from the front double bicep, I would say that a lot of this is finding the strengths and trying to hide the weaknesses. Now, that is essentially what bodybuilding is all about, but when you get into this caliber of the Masters, you start looking at the midsections and which ones are spilling over, which ones are a little too big. You got to look at the conditioning and whose conditioning is better than others, who is the most complete bodybuilder in the front double bicep. Bodybuilding is all about the front double. I guess it's one of my sayings now. And when you look at Maxx Charles, let's go left to right. Maxx is one of these guys that's really impressive from the front, depending on who he's standing next to. And I don't want to start just slamming the guy. He's got amazing arms. He's got great chest. He's got really high lat inserts, kind of like a Nathan Diasha look. And for some people, that actually really does work for them. For Maxx, when you get into the midsection with the lats, it's something less to be desired. There's certainly a gap here. There's something missing, and I don't know if it's just more lats, more chest. Maybe the midsection from the obliques is starting to get a little too big on the sides. That could be it. Also, the posing, when you get into the legs, not a lot of conditioning going into the posing trunks, and that usually pulls away from the physique, in my opinion. Moving into the lower quad sweep on the outside, and even into the teardrop part on the two parts of the quad. That's where you start to see a little bit more conditioning. It looks like there's some more oil there. He definitely could have been more oiled up, and to be honest, the photos might not have been perfect. So there's always going to be these little nuances when it comes to these physiques. So it's very difficult to give a solid opinion, a concrete decision on who wins these shots, because we're not there. We know I'm not in Romania, so there's always going to be a little bit of gap in the coverage, if you know what I mean. And the calves, Maxx has phenomenal calves, so definitely a good physique. Top three for sure. He did finish third. Kamal in the middle. From the front, he's very blocky. He's not very wide in the clavicle and the shoulders. So it brings his physique, it's very compact. He's a perfect 212 guy. And he does combat, right? Different C word. He does combat that compactness with amazing conditioning, right? That's something that he's been able to use. It's one of his signatures. You can see it with the arms and the chest. Very conditioned, but very compact, very, very tight. Not a lot of width. Whereas, we'll get to Phil Clahar in a second, the exact opposite. Midsection, tight, conditioned, shredded, blocky though, big, and that for me that pulls away from the physique. The quads more conditioned than Maxx, maybe not as big though. So there's kind of an apples and oranges. Do you want the size or do you want the conditioning? Or for most bodybuilding judges, it's the combination of both coming into that perfect package that we talked about a second ago. And the calves, great calves. Phil Clahar. This is a guy, he's 49 years old. These are all older gentlemen, hence the Masters, right? But Phil just won the Open Orlando. He's qualified for the Mr. Olympia, as well as the invitation for the Masters Olympia. Phil's got great arms. He's got a great chest. No issues there. No torn chest, no torn bicep, no labradas. The midsection is where you start to get a little worried when it comes to Phil, because sometimes his midsection's really tight, sometimes it's not. And I think in this show, I think he did a good job. He does have that like Dexter Jackson look to the midsection. It's kind of got like that turtle shell look, but it's still tight. It's still hard. And for him to finish second, debatably he could have won. That's the entire point of this comparison, is to announce the winner, but also look and see, did the judges have it right, or what do you think? And what do I think? We're doing it live, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing it together. The quads, great conditioning and great separation all the way into the posing trunks. You can see the featherings. You can see the separation all the way into the posing trunks, the outer sweep. You can see that Kai Green-esque cross striation feathering on the teardrop. So the quad, really deep separations. It looks phenomenal. And calves, not as good as calves as Kamal's or Maxx, but still good calves. Still good calves. So from the front, it's an apples and oranges between Kamal and Phil Clahar. Do you want the bigger, wider physique, which is what I prefer, or do you want the smaller, compact, more conditioned in Kamal O'Gardney? You let me know down below. What do you think? Who gets the front double bicep here? From the front lat, I'd say Kamal is the only one really set here. Maxx is set a little bit, but his stomach is kind of pushed out. Same with Phil's. They caught him at the wrong breath. So both of those guys kind of got shafted here. But let's go ahead and look at Maxx Charles. Great wide shoulders, good condition in the chest. Not great, but good. Arms phenomenal. Midsection, he's able to kind of hide that the midsection we talked about earlier with the obliques coming out a little bit. But also Maxx had the best set of abs on the stage. So you got to wonder, does he try to compact the abs instead of opening up the rib cage and allowing the lat spread to get a little bit wider, or do you push it down and use one of your strengths, use the abs to show the abs? I don't know. He'll have to let us know his strategy coming out of that show. And then in the legs, almost losing more conditioning and separation with this shot, not really striking the legs the way maybe he should, or maybe it's just a bad timed photo. Don't see a lot of separation or striations in the quads. Calves are the same. Kamal from the front and lat, I would say he kind of takes this shot. The compactness of his physique doesn't really hurt this shot. There's no real gaps from the elbows to the lats to the midsection. There's no spots. It's a great shot for him. Great conditioning. The midsection's super tight looking. I'd say he dominates the shot. And then Phil, the midsection a little distended because he's not holding it properly. He's in the middle of a breath, I'm assuming, but Phil's really wide. Great conditioning in the legs. I'd like to see more conditioning upstairs in the chest and the arms, but this was a good shot for Kamal. I think Kamal definitely wins this one outright. From the side chest, this is another good shot. You got I almost said Mark's Max muscle. You have Maxx Charles on the left. Good structure. Good. He really rotated that back arm to really make the silhouette nice and wide. Midsection looks nice and tight. He's leaning into the shot, which we'll talk about in a second, and that does make him look thicker, makes him look wider. The glutes, not very conditioned, but protruding. Good. Hamstring drop is present. Not a lot of separation in the quad. Calves are good. Kamal from the side chest. He's got an interesting shot here. He doesn't rotate too much. He doesn't really bring that back shoulder around to really give him more width, and that's one of the things that's been hurting him, is he doesn't have a lot of width. He just structurally, genetically, he's not very wide. The bone structure is not very wide. It doesn't matter how many lateral raises you do. You're not going to be able to combat that. You might be able to outpose it, but you can't outbuild it. You're only going to be stuck to what the good Lord above gives you. So Kamal looks good here. The conditioning's good. The chest looks nice and full. No issues. No torn pecs. No blemishes. The midsection looks kind of funny because he's really leaning backwards into the shot, not leaning forward traditionally like most people do. But Kamal's legs, glutes are nice and conditioned. The hamstrings look nice. The calves, phenomenal. Phil, I would say Phil's going to be winning this shot. The conditioning in the glutes, and I know I'm all over the place with the body parts, but the conditioning in the glutes really, really pulls it for me. The crazy striations in the hamstrings are really noticeable. The calves are not as great as Kamal's. He has more longer sprinter type calves, whereas Kamal, or the other way around, right? He has more endurance calves, longer insertions in the calves. But the chest, the delts, the arms, the traps, everything is just flowing really well with Phil here. It looks like a phenomenal shot. Very big, very full, posing it perfectly. Midsection's in control. You can see a little bit of separation in the abs. So I would say Phil wins this shot for me, but let me know if I'm crazy. What are your thoughts there? Back double for Max Charles. This is where the show ends for him. That's been historically where he really starts to drop the ball. It's just genetically, he just doesn't have a lot of thick, dense, round, bubbly muscle from the back. It's there, it's present, but the lower back, not a lot of. I mean, look at Max versus Phil's Clahar's lower back. It's day and night. Phil's got, I hate to make it sound like this, but Phil has a lower back. Max does not. Phil has really sharp conditioned glutes. Max has good full glutes, but they're not sharp, they're not hard, they're not diced. The hamstrings between all three of these gentlemen are not very detailed at all. Kamal's probably being the worst hamstrings. There's, gosh, I hate saying it, but there's really nothing there. It looks like guest posing hamstrings. Nothing there. I hate to say it. It sounds really, really harsh. But staying with Max Charles, the arms look good. The shoulders look good, but not top two. I think he placed exactly where he was. And I'm going to find Leonardowitz and see what happened to him. He was my pick to win. He was my dark horse to pick. I didn't even see him in the callouts. So we'll see what happened with him. Kamal from the back, conditioning's the game for him. He's not very wide. The muscle bellies are not very huge and full, but he is very conditioned. We already talked about the lower body. This is a good shot for him, but definitely not the best. I'd say the front shots are his money shots. Phil Clahar dominates the back shots outright. There's no conversation here. The arms, the delts are bigger, they're fuller, they're more dense. The traps are bigger. They have that Phil Heath-esque, got that Cobra look to him, which is phenomenal. I mean, good job, Phil. The freaking guy's 49 years old and just killing it. Winning pro shows, top 2 in the Mr. Olympia Masters, debatably first. You come into the mid-back, mid-traps, rhomboids area, the lats as they start to sweep into that lower back where you get the upper butt cheek, right? Those lower lats. You start getting to that Kai Green-esque lower back. Just a very complete shot for Phil. Like I said, the hamstrings could be more dug out. I'd like to see more conditioning. Hopefully we get to see more high-quality photos here. But Phil Clahar dominates the back double. And I'm also going to say it right now, looking at the back lat, he also dominates the back lat. Max looks a little bit better in the lat spread from the back. You can see a little bit of that lower back muscle showing, but not enough to compete with who's on the stage. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're doing here, is we're comparing who's on stage. You know, who's on first, who's on second, who's on third. That's what we're doing right here, ladies and gentlemen, except we're not talking about baseball. We're talking about bodybuilding. And when you look at Max Charles, he's only able to compete against who's on stage unless you come to channels like mine and we can compare to how they looked before. And we have lots of fun. We have lots of fun. Anywho, continuing on, Max looks good, not great. Kamal, good, but not very wide, not very dense. Conditioned though. The hamstring looks a little bit better. That left hamstring that he has spiked with the calf looks good. Looks a little bit better, more conditioned, but still not that great. Again, this is the Masters, so there is going to be a little bit of a difference when we're comparing someone like a Regan Grimes or someone like a Phil Heath. You know, there's different levels. There's levels to this game, ladies and gentlemen. And then again, Phil Clahar dominating the back lat spread as well. Hamstrings even more dug out, glutes nice and sharp, lower back phenomenal, upper back crazy dense, striated, got that Cobra Kai traps going on, and you can even see a little bit of vascularity in the traps, or in the tricep. Just a great shot for him. Side tricep, Phil kind of gets screwed on this shot. I don't know why the photographer decided to not have him included in this shot. You can't see the tricep. It's not even a traditional tricep shot. He's already turning to the front, kind of like how Max Charles is. Now, Maxx also does not have his leg set. This is not a good shot. So I'm not sure why they decided to post this one specifically when it comes to photography. And, I've done this on a very amateur level at NPC shows. I've taken lots of photos. You go through the photos, you decide which ones to post. This photographer, and there's no male intent here. There's no, I'm not trying to throw shade, but they decided to post this photo out of all the ones they took. So this is either the best one they were able to get, everything got really quick, or there was some politics going on here, and they didn't want to show a shot that maybe Phil would have won here, or maybe Maxx would have made Kamal look not as good. Because if you look at this, only Kamal is set. So I almost don't even want to judge this shot because Phil's midsection's a little distended. He's not set. You can't see the tricep. We're just going to scratch the side tricep because no one's set except for Kamal. I think that's it's a little biased, and it's just not fair to the competitors. So we got to be as fair as we can be. The abs and thighs. This is apologies, Kamal. This is a Maxx Charles shot all day. He has some of the best abs in bodybuilding. Just absolutely shredded 6-pack. Great obliques. I mean, he completely dominates this shot from the abs. The chest looks phenomenal as well. He's got great arms. I'd say where it really hurts him is the thigh. It's the abs in one thigh is what the shot's traditionally called. And when you look at that front thigh that he's spiking, you don't see a lot of conditioning. You don't see a lot of separation. There is width. It's big. You can see some calves. They look good. But there's not a lot of conditioning, not a lot of separation to let the judges see what's going on. Looking at Kamal, great midsection, but big on the sides, spilling over a little bit. Lats look good. He's just very compact. And it's just not the look that I like in bodybuilding. I don't think it's a very healthy look. So definitely not ideal for me. But great conditioning all the way into the quads. You can see the cross striations and the featherings on the quads, both inner and outer. Looks phenomenal. Definitely, there's a reason why he won. And Phil for the ab and thigh. Midsection, a little set, but a little distended. I'm not sure if his traditional ab and thigh like Maxx Charles looks good, and that's why he hit the shot the way he did. But the arms look good, chest looks good, the lat from the side where he has crunched down looks good, the obliques pretty shredded, crazy shredded. The quads, I would say the best conditioned, separated, thick quads on the stage right now. Kamal's got great quads, but not as big, not as complete as Phil Clahar's. So although this might be a tad bit controversial, I would say that Kamal's not winning this shot. But I would say that Maxx Charles' abs win the shot, but Phil Clahar's legs and everything else wins the shot. So, where do you go? Do you just pick the safe bet? Because Kamal's the safe bet. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on the ab and thigh, ladies and gentlemen. And the most muscular, it looks like Maxx Charles is set, but not happy about being set. The legs look good, but not separated. Midsection sharp, shredded, chest. You can see the feathering. Really good shot for Maxx Charles. Kamal, another good shot for him. Very conditioned, very big and full in the chest. Delts, Death Star looking delts over here. Derek Moore plates reference. Midsection, nice and tight. Quads, shredded. Good shot. Great shot. Definitely a Mr. Olympia caliber. Most muscular. And then Phil Clahar, I would say, steals the shot. I think he wins this one. The midsection looks conditioned and controlled enough, and the upper body looks big enough. The legs look more impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say I think Phil might have been overlooked at this show. If it's a 1-point decision, I understand, but if at the end of the day, if I had my say, if I was the person judging this show, I would say Phil Clahar should have won the 2023 Masters Mr. Olympia. And that's no shade against Kamal Gardner. I think it was a very, very close shot. But if you can let me know why you think Kamal beat Phil, outside of, we talked about the midsection, and I don't think that Phil's midsection in most shots took away from all of his other pros enough where he was losing enough shots to lose the show. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. You got to let me know down below. Continue the conversation in the comment sections below. Like I said, let me know your thoughts. If you enjoy this style of content, please consider subscribing. If you want cool shirts like this, go to bodybuildingnews.net and purchase a cool shirt. But that's it. I'm your host, Josh Sanch. Thanks for watching BNN. and I'll see you next one.